What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to discuss the worst case scenario for Morant following this gun situation. And I'm not talking about career-wise endorsements and all that stuff. I'm talking about the worst case scenario. Now, there's a fella by the name of Jason Williams. All the OGs out there, even some young bloods who probably seen it on YouTube. If you know this story, you know where I'm going with this. If you know that name, you know where I'm going. Not white chocolate Jason Williams, but Jason Williams from the New Jersey Nets. I forget where he was drafted. But he liked guns. Okay? He liked to play with guns, just like John likes to play with guns. And Jason Williams found out the hard way what happens when you play with a gun. That's not a toy, and it's a deadly weapon. So Jason Williams broke his leg. He was an all-star, and he signed a $90 million deal, and then he broke his leg and had time off. I'm just going to go ahead and skip through his story. Long story short, he was showing this guy a gun, and it went off, and he killed the man. And he lost everything because of this incident. So Ja doesn't want to sit there and play around with guns, because the worst case scenario, Ja keeps playing with guns, he's going to accidentally shoot somebody and hurt somebody or himself. So that's the lesson here. You know they're going to slap him on the wrist because they're stretching this thing out over time. And when something in the news is stretched out over time, it's because of hard news that it's easier to bear when it's stretched out over time. So the news is going to be is nothing's going to happen to Ja. He might get a fine. He might be suspended to start the next season. He might not play this playoffs. And some are going to say that's too much. But I mean, you're sitting there playing with guns and promoting it to your fans to play with guns. That's the whole thing. I mean, you can play with guns, but you better damn sure know what you're doing and take it seriously. Especially don't be dangling it, you know. So, I mean, to look cool. I mean, it is what it is, but you just don't want to see something like that happened to Jason Williams. You don't want to see something like that happen to Morant, you know. That's it, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share this video. Get that Jason Williams story out there. And yeah, just pray for Ja that he learns his lesson for real. You know, maybe losing Powerade and all these endorsements and sitting out games. You know, it can go one of two ways. He's gonna either get lazy, or it's gonna be motivating him to do better. So I'll see you guys later.
And you retire. Here you are, a young man, early 30s, with $90 million. You know, minus the taxes and the agent fees and whatever else, but still a massive amount of money. How did you start really, you know, what did you start doing with your life right afterwards?
Probably crying in my own beer, which, you know, I shouldn't have been. Poor me, why this happened to me? My dad snapped me out of it. Said, man, get people out here, school teachers and police officers, and you got opportunity to change the world. Get up and get back at it. And I signed a contract with NBC to do the games. And I was on NBC calling the games, doing pregame, postgame, halftime shows for the NBA on NBC.
Okay, how long did that contract last?
That was a one-year contract.
Okay, why did they not renew?
Because I had an accident at my home.
Aha, so this was 2002.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So February 14th, 2002. You were working with some kids, I guess, like a young team?
Yeah, working with a team earlier in the day, but remember I had kids, and then my kids that I adopted had kids. So I had my grandchildren. We went to a Harlem Globetrotter basketball game with my dad and my grandchildren, and a bunch of other players that were playing on the travel team that we had.
Okay, so you end up hiring a limousine driver, Gus Christophe.
Yes, we went out after the game. A couple of the players said, "Hey, man, can we come back check out your house?" I said, "Sure." They came back. We met at a restaurant, and at the restaurant, the owner of the restaurant called a limousine to take some of those players back to my home. Mr. Christophe came in, had dinner with us, had a good time, and then he drove us. I drove my car home, and then he followed us in the limousine. It was the first night I ever met Mr. Christophe.
Okay, so your kids and grandkids and Mr. Christophe were all at your house and you started showing them your gun collection.
I started showing, I had some other players in the house too, and I went to my bedroom and I had my shotguns for my skeet machine in there, and there was a bullet still in one of the shotguns from shooting skeet earlier in the day. I take responsibility. I'm not gonna say somebody did that, and that. I was supposed to look down the barrel. I was showing people guns. Here goes a gun. Here, look at this one. You know, this coach gave me this. This is beautiful. This. And when I went to snap the gun closed to hand it, I didn't even know that Mr. Christophe was in the house there. The gun went off and hit Mr. Christophe in the chest, and it killed him instantly. I then jumped, ran out the house, jumped into the swimming pool, came back up, and we called 911 instantly after it happened. But I just panicked. I did a cowardly act of not staying there after an accident and taking it. I tried to cover it up, and I ended up going to trial for this, Vlad. The trial took 8 years. I ended up going to jail for aggravated assault. We know it's an accident. I took care of their family. I'm not saying that suffices, because you took everything a man has and everything he's gonna have for the rest of his life. He just got out of where a bad situation in his life where he's coming out and get his life together where I'm going in now. He didn't have any family. He had a sister. She forgave me. I don't know if it was more of a letter she forgave me. She never came up and told me. She's probably still angry with me, and I understand that. I went on and I went to prison for 27 months for obstruction of justice was the main charge. And that's where I'm at.
Well, when the gun went off and he got hit, what was the first thing that started going through your mind? Because obviously it was an accident.
What the hell just happened? Yeah. Bam! And what the hell just happened? And then I just panicked. And
well, you said you tried to cover it up. Like, how did you try to cover it up?
I went and jumped in the swimming pool and then stood there when the police were coming. We were trying to come up with a story instead of, just telling the truth of what happened, just in shock. And when the police come, it was obviously, that I was reckless. And that's what I went to jail for.
Okay. So you were arrested that day.
Yeah.
And were you given a bond?
Yes.
Okay. So you paid your bond, and the whole, you went through the court process for 8 years. The whole time were you out on bond, or did you have to sit in jail for a while?
No, I was out on bond for the 8 years. It was 8 years of every day seeing your lawyer, some days going to court consistently, fighting motions and doing different things. It was a living hell, not knowing your future, but it was just pale in comparison to what happened to Mr. Christophe and his family. So it was just a bad time for everyone. I've caused a lot of pain, Vlad. I caused a lot of pain in that situation. I know you want to stay here and at this situation and go by it detail for detail. I was reckless. I'm sorry. I take full responsibility to that. I pay my debt to society, and there's not a day that goes by where I don't think that I did enough. I think that I'm at Futures Recovery Healthcare every day trying to help people get better while I'm helping myself, because there's something I'm never going to be able to get over. So I do these interviews for one reason. I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me or judge me, or where they can judge me. I do it to release the stigma of addiction. That's where I'm at in my life. I understand that I was reckless, I was careless, I was a coward for doing what I did.